down to it. Alright, so we're not going to have a lot of sky in this picture. We're going to have a little bit. But... So we'll dress that first. We'll do, because it's the farthest back, then we'll work our way forward. If you're speaking, I can't see you for some reason today. I don't know. I can see that there are people on, but I can't really. If you're talking to me, I'm not seeing you for some reason. So I'm not being unsociable. Sometimes Facebook doesn't show all the comments, and that's a drag. All right. So this is a relatively small footprint that we're using. It's 12 by 16, but that's okay. It'll work out it'll work out for what we want to use it for. Alright, so we're just going to pick up the fan brush, a little bit of phthalo blue here. We'll just kind of lay in some sky here. Need a lot of sky because we have mountains way back there in the background. So we'll just kind of, well, I'll tell you what, we'll put some on this corner. We'll pull the mountain down off of that. And I'm not really going to need much of it. Alright, I think that's probably enough sky for what I want to do here. So the weather still hasn't cooled off here, but it's supposed to cool off on Tuesday. So we'll see if it does. We're just going to blend the sky down a little bit. It'll give us some motion in the sky. I want to put a couple little clouds in there, maybe just some floaters. I'm going to be doing a cloud study this week sometime, I think. It might be actually next week, I don't know. It'll be this week or next week. I'm going to do a cloud study. I'm looking to have some other artists are doing their clouds, and I think that's kind of cool, so I think I'll give that a spin and see how it does for me. Alright, I'll keep that paper towel. Let's pick up another fan brush, a different fan brush. I just want to put a couple little clouds, little streamers like right in the center. Not too much, just yeah. Maybe a little bit brighter. Maybe a little brighter than that. So I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's just blend this a little bit more. Leave that, we'll kind of stain that white in there. Pull it across the sky a little bit. But then let's just, that's great. Alright, let's just lay that brush there for a second. Take a little bit more titanium white. Just kind of scrub this in a little bit more. Yeah. Alright. That'll kind of do it, I think. Well, there's not a lot going on in this. This is not about a sky picture. It's more about waterfalls, I think. Alright, so let's get some lighter, let's get some browns up here. Put a little bit of a Blizzard Crimson on the palette. Just a little bit. Shouldn't need too much of that for this. I think. Maybe. Let's start off with some dark sienna. So put some dark sienna on the palette. And then we'll put some. Hello, Lally. Hey, Carolyn. Oh, finally, messages are starting to come through. I didn't see them there for a little bit. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Need a little bit of. Yeah, put a little bit of yellow ochre in here on the palette as well. Alright. So we're going to put some mountains up here. I'm going to clean this brush for it. Move on. Alright. So let's tell you what, we'll line this out with, line this mountain out with a knife, and then we'll put a brush in from there. So I want kind of like a, let's see, I want just like almost to the top, like that. Yeah. Pull this down. I got a lot of tooth on this canvas since it's one I made myself. So you have to work with that texture some, and that's fine. I kind of like that actually. Let's put another little peak right here. And then we'll just kind of bring it on out. And then kind of bring this across. Alright, so that's got my idea about that down. Let's go move to a filbert brush now. We're using the same color, but we're just going to kind of smush this color into this canvas. Keeping that sharp, let that sharp edge just stay on there. And we're going to shape this mountain the way we want it to come out. Let's see, let's decide on light. So I think the light's going to kind of be coming, there's going to be another mountain over here, kind of working its way down. Kind of lay that in a little bit. Let's just lay this in a little bit. And then I'm trying to make a decision on the lighting. Maybe like that. Yeah, that'll work. That'll do. Alright, so got the lighting coming in from behind this mountain over this way. So we're going to pick up some lightness on this side and some darkness on the other side. So let's do a little bit of that. Let's work on this mountain. Alright. So this is mixing a little bit with the liquid white. And that's okay. That's kind of count on that actually. Alright, so we're just going to take a little bit of Van Dyke Brown. We're going to add into this mountain. Just a little bit of shadow. Just a little bit of shadow. So I want to kind of this side. I want there to be kind of a shelf like that. This side's going to be darker because it's against the light, right? Just kind of pour some of that in there. Just lay some color in. That's all we're doing here in this particular instance. There's some shadows in here. Kind of spread that in. Now, I think what I want to do is right here. Let's bring this forward just a little bit. So because it's coming forward, we're going to make it darker. Darker, darker, darker. Just moving forward. If you have any questions, spit them out. I'll look over there every so often. Alright. Now, I think all the way across, I'm going to take a little bit of Payne's Gray. If you haven't used Payne's Gray, it's a really interesting color. It's totally, it's a very resilient color. It just, now, let's bring some of that color down in this way. Actually, let's bring a lot of it. So we're just taking some Payne's Gray and some midnight brown and pulling down this cliff face, because there's going to be waterfalls all along this area here. Probably could have used a bigger brush, it wouldn't have taken so long. But I'm not in a race today. I'm not like Bob. I'm not like Bob Ross. I can't like do it 27 minutes. It takes me longer than that to make up my mind what I'm going to paint. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to have there's going to be a couple of open things like right here. What I'm going to do. And then maybe let's put I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's make something a little bit darker. I'm always going darker coming forward, but so this is some midnight black. There's a lot of oil on the top of that tube. Hopefully this will go on okay. So I'm just kind of putting in, you know, a general sketch of where the rock and stuff is going to be, where the waterfall is going to be. I may have to put the, you know, I think like, I want this to be kind of like this. And then maybe like bring it out here and curve it around some. This is going to be a forward cliff face right here. I think I will use a bigger brush for that. So hang on a second. So I'm just going to lay this color in here. I'm mixing all these colors together to make them a little bit darker. Alright, and then I think like up here, I want like, make that a little bit more heavy like that. Alright, so that kind of gives me that idea, and then I think like, I'll tell you what, let's start putting some water in here. Get me an idea of where I want to put all of that. So let's move over to this phthalo blue. Let's kind of paint this in here. It's the top color, bottom color, I mean. It's a shadow color. I didn't clean my brush. I'm just using a filbert, the same filbert I used earlier. Just gonna paint this in. This will be our shadow. Doesn't matter too much if we get it on this darker landscape that we're gonna put in here, but I have to decide where I want. Alright, so if I want up in this little bit. Up here, like that. Mix it right here. So the trick really, when we start working on putting in the waterfall, will be getting all of the, let's see, let me set that aside. I want to wash this other brush here. Is getting all the little colored, little bits and pieces of water that's flowing down the hill into the mix. All right, let's just pick up some blue now. No, it's being everything on that. That's okay. What are we doing? All right, now. Actually, this is going to be helpful because laying this blue in because it'll allow me to figure out where I want to put the other side of this mountain. Alright, so let's see. I want to put darker frame of reference right there. Hang on just a second. Don't have enough paint. Now we may take some of this paint and rub it back off. No, well, rub it back off just to make it thinner when we get down here, but we'll see. I'm still just trying to lay this out how we want it to be. Alright, so let's take this right here. Start bringing this mountain over a little bit. I had a general sketch here of what I was thinking about earlier. I wish I could remember it all. Alright, so let's see. So this is all going to be. And again, I could have used a brush to just lay this in. A bigger brush would have saved me some time. That's okay. It doesn't take long. Sharpen the edges up here in a second. Alright. Alright, that should be like enough filled with brush. Let's start thinking about a little bit of highlighting. So let's get some of this, some of this. I want a whole lot of highlight on that mountain. Now this side will just be like right up here on this edge. It's the only place we're going to have any highlight. Alright, so let's start adding some waterfall. We'll figure out how we want to do this. I usually do waterfalls with a fan brush, but I don't know if I will do that today. Let's take, before we do that, let's take just a 1-inch brush. I'm just going to blend some of this blue. And maybe even lift a little bit of that paint off of it. I'm just kind of pulling the brush strokes out here. Kind of blending this together. You can almost see the water there. You can almost see it. Alright. Hey, Will. Hey, Willard. How are you today? Alright. Well, let's get some. get some titanium white, put out on here. On the palette. Hey John, how goes it, buddy? So let's, I don't know, I've never tried to do this with a filbert brush, so we'll give it a spin, see if I like it. I don't know. Let's start off with just I might have to wipe my brush up a lot. Yes. But that's okay. Let's do it. And picking up that blue with this, it's kind of interesting actually. Now, you kind of decide when you're putting these in. Do you want the water to fall straight down, or is it going to be hitting some other rocks along the way? Which it probably would be. So we'll put a couple of different little layers of things in there as we go. This is just a filbert brush. I decided I want a little bit more wider than that. I don't know for sure. Let's see now here. I think I'll tell you what I think we're going to do. We're going to lay this water in here first. Then we'll come back, maybe put some more highlights in it. I don't want the whole thing to be just like blistering white, because water just doesn't look like that. Alright, just for grins now, I'm going to switch to a different brush and see which one of these two techniques I like the best. So this is with a fan brush, but I still don't want to make those great big waves, those great big waterfall things that you can carve out with a fan brush. Yeah, I think it's actually easier to do with filbert. Alright, now we'll switch back. Tell you what though, we'll switch to a different size filbert this time. I'll just use this bigger filbert. Let's see how this works. Now I want to have like, this part up here, I want to have like water coming in and then falling down. Wipe the brush, wipe the brush. I think the only trick here is going to be when we're using the fan brush. I mean, using the filbert. Alright, let's try one more thing. Let's try something different. Let's see how this does. This might actually give me. Yeah. It's not going to really change much of what I'm doing, but it's going to create some texture that I don't have otherwise. So we're just using a super light touch on this. I think what we're going to do is kind of paint these waterfalls in here. Then we'll put some more rocks back in when we get done. Does that make sense? You guys understand? Why bother blade paper towels down? So we're gonna add some more. Oh, we got too much paint right there. I'm just pulling this canvas out toward me just a little bit. Alright. Now we can work on the rocks a little bit. So let's pick up some. Got some midnight black here. Let's go back and put this. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Let's do this. Let's get. Rather than continue to pile this paint on top of this paint, let's just scratch a little bit of this mountain back in here. And we'll paint it back. So this is just sort of a big protrusion sticking up here. And one in here. Alright. So let's add some landscape. Let's add a little bit of landscape to that. But let's straighten this out here just a second. Let this projection out just a little bit. Alright. Well, I didn't know this was going to create as much knife work. Hey Rosemary, how are you today? Alright, let's do a little bit of rock highlighting, and then we'll come back and work on this maybe a little bit more in some different areas. Alright, so I'm picking up some dark sienna, mixing it with some titanium white. Pull down into this area. Oh, where do you live in Maryland? My wife is from PG County. I was in the Air Force up there. Part of my career. I used to have family that live up there in McQuasco. I don't know if you know where that is. The booming, gigantic town of McQuasco. The actual flip side of the DC area. create. Tell you what, let's take this and let's create like. Now looking at this edge is too rough. I mean, it's too straight. So we're just gonna kind of crookedize it a little bit. Here we go. Take some black, maybe some Payne's gray. We'll put like some shadows in here on this. Just to kind of cut this up. Maybe a few go this way. Like that. Let's create some cracks in the lane. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, she was raised in Brandywine. That's where she was living when we met. And now her stepmom lives in Quasco. I have to give you a shout next time we're going to come up there. Alright, so now this part of the terrain is going to be more rocky than the other, but let's lay some landscape down there on it. Let's put a little bit of mixed highlighting on it, and then we'll come back and figure out exactly what we're going to put in here. So let's just kind of a real light touch here with the knife. It's actually always a good idea not to put your finger on the edge of the knife, because if you do, then probably not 100% of the time, but you're probably going to get, if you, I'll show you, if you put your finger on top of the knife like this, you push, there's a tendency to create like a butter thing, like you're buttering bread instead of creating this like that. So it's good to just kind of keep your touch light. Hi, daughter.
Hi, Mom.
Did you find your stuff?
We found some of it, and then we bought a bunch of other crap.
All right.
I got some records, and we found some shorts.
Did you look at the record cabinet in the back of the truck?
I didn't even know it was back there.
It's back there. Don't want to show it to you. I still have to refinish it, but I'll get it done for Christmas.
You said you were going to make it all pretty.
Yeah. It's not really very big. It's about as big as this, but not quite. It's about maybe this big. About that tall. Maybe not quite that tall. But
Which one is recording?
I'm streaming. Yeah, I'm streaming from over there on the Facebook. This is my daughter, Nikki. Y'all. Everybody. Come on, you gotta stretch.
I'm short. I don't stretch. Short people don't stretch.
Can't you stretch until you're normal?
No. That's just like at one of the places that we went, they had the records up on the top shelf, and I was like, this is not short people friendly. You should bring these down.
I was watching a video last night about short people friendly. The girl was in the grocery store in the freezer section. She was like opening the door and climbing up on the thing to get up to the top, and then the freezer closed behind her.
The door didn't close on me, but I had to climb up in the freezer the other day at the store because a lot of the milks in the front were gone, so I had to climb up and really reach back there and get one.
Alright, so let's put a little bit of, let's put some green and along this top layer here, as though we're like on the top of the mountain looking down over here from the far side. Then we're going to go back and put some more rocks in this waterfall, break it up a little bit. Alright, so we're just going to take a little bit of sap green. Alright, that's not. Need to mix that color a little better with something a little lighter. It's not cutting it for me. Let me get some cad yellow out here. Alright, here we go. So we get some cad yellow. Just a tad bit of green. We'll see how that works for us. And we better make that, better put a little bit of linseed oil in with that too, because otherwise it probably won't stick. All right. Maybe we'll put a tree or two on top of there. It had to be a hardy tree, man, to be growing around all this fall, but it probably could. You leaving? Bye-bye, kiddo.
Gotta go check on some dogs.
Alright. Alright, let's stick some rocks in here now. Let's get some more paint. We'll put these in with, I'll tell you what, I got a little bit of Midnight Black left on here. Let's pick that up and see how that'll go. Can't tell if I like that or not. I think to make this, let's do something else with the knife here real quick. Let's take some titanium white and just create this ridge on top of this water. That'll make it a little easier to stick in, perhaps. So let's just put these rocks in with a knife, since we're already knifing most of it anyway. And then we'll put like I have recently, I use paper palettes, and I recently changed size of the paper palettes, thinking that would maybe save me some room, but it's really turned out to be too small a palette for me, really, because I don't do well with palette management. Now this side, much like this side, is a little too straight. So we're going to unsquare that. And then we're going to kind of, then we'll add a couple more rocks in here. So let's just kind of, so we're just adding some dark color in here as a base color. And we might actually just leave it that way. I think I kind of like that. Kind of give you a shadow tracing back in that way. Alright, so let's do a couple little touches up. Just putting a little bit of light on top of this. Alright. Oops, I didn't clean that very good. So let's put a tree or two. Find a fan brush that I really like. Maybe this one. This is a tiny one. I got this fan brush not too long ago. It seems to work pretty good. Alright, so pick up some of this sap green. Just mix up a dark color here. Let's put one tree like this. It's kind of crooked. And let's make another one. Make it a little farther back. The only reason I'm thinking that is because you'll be able to see that the mountain goes back a little bit far. This ridge goes back a little bit farther toward that waterfall. So I'm just kind of mixing some dark color here to go on the side. Which we're putting on about 6 layers of paint now, so it's just getting kind of thick. That's okay. Let's put one more small one like right here. Against that waterfall, like that. And stick one more over here. Let's put it right here. Everybody's so quiet on a Sunday. I thought Sunday everybody'd be chatterboxing. Usually I paint on Sunday and eat toward like a little later in the day, or I paint during the week. I really like the way this tree over here came out, so I'm just going to take it back off. I'm just going to use this. This is William Bickford paint scraper remover thing. Works pretty good. Alright, I'm going to just put some color back up there. The tree didn't come out the way I wanted it to, so we'll put another one in there. We'll put a different one in there. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's put some color behind it though. Make it kind of show off a little bit. So let's just kind of... Now I think, looking at this, the way the green comes across, and then I think what we'll do, so we'll just put some dark color and actually shadow this away from this other piece of rock over here. Just kind of stand it out there by itself. Alright, and now we can put another tree on it. We'll make this tree a little taller. Alright. Almost like a little highlight on that. Where'd it go? Alright, here we go. Doesn't need a lot of highlight, actually. I like this grass a little bit more, just to kind of give it some depth. Alright, now, I'm going to add just some mist down toward the bottom here, because if we don't, it's going to kind of look like the waterfall just kind of runs down into Never Never Land. And in your world, it can run down and never land if you want it to. That's fine and dandy. I'm sure that's what Bob would say. Alright. But I'm just going to put a little bit of mist on there. So let's just take a 1-inch brush. Put some titanium white on it. I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. So we'll just kind of tap, tap, tap this mist up here. I'll clean that brush. I'm going to put just a little bit more on in the middle. And then I'm going to stand back and take a look here. Just soften this water just a little bit. That's all I'm doing. Now another thing you could do if you wanted to, you could take and flick some paint in there and using some liquid white and kind of create like splashy water if you wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to really do that. Alright, well, that was an interesting study. I think I'm done with it for today. Stand back and look at it. I might make a few minor changes here and there after it tacks up a little bit, but hope you guys are having a good Sunday, and I will see you on the next stream.